Welcome to Jill Cameron Creations. Today we are going to mix up some different brands and we are going to make a card. And I have a couple pointers for you about mixing up brands. Okay, so I am using the Game of Gnomes die set from Spellbinders. I love gnomes, but I'm actually using the large mushroom image from the die set, and I'm going to pair it with Lawn Fawn's Fairy Friends. And there's a couple different sets for the Fairy Friends. There's a Christmas set and the original set, and then there's one I think that has a house with it. But I just wanted like a big image of a mushroom. I didn't want it to necessarily be a house. The thing to keep in mind when you're mixing brands, and it doesn't matter if it's die sets or if it's stamp sets, you want to make sure that it's A, size appropriate. So for this, for example, I'm making sure that my mushroom is a whole lot bigger than my fairies, because when you think of fairies, you think of tiny little things, and they're, you see those fairy gardens that people build, and you have the tree stump houses that the fairies can walk in and that kind of thing. And you think of fairies being able to alight on flowers. So of course that mushroom's going to be a whole lot bigger than them. And then you have the other little tiny images that go with it that kind of create the scene and the fun part of it. So when you're combining those, make sure that you're keeping in mind that they are size appropriate with each other. Lawn Fawn has done an amazing job across their entire line to make sure that everything is really size appropriate to each other. But sometimes when you're mixing brands, it's kind of hard to tell that until you stamp them out and you look at them together and then you go, oh, that doesn't really fit. Because you definitely don't want to have like a plate of food sitting in front of this critter unless you're going for comical look. That the critter's really tiny and the plate of food's really big kind of thing. So just keep that in mind, that it needs to be size appropriate. Also, you want to make sure that the style of the stamps complement each other, or the style of the stamp and die, or the two die sets complement each other very well. What I mean by that is you have some stamp companies that do very realistic images. For example, deep red rubber stamps are very realistic looking stamps. They have a lot of detail to them. They are they have like their own built-in shadow, that kind of thing, whereas Lawn Fawn stamps are simple line images that you're going to color in. So the style of the stamp being paired together is very important too, and it's also of the dies. If you are going to pair two different companies that are very detailed, I would be very careful of that, because the style of the stamps might not necessarily go together. So just pay attention to that as you are looking at combining different companies. Lawn Fawn has the ability a whole lot of times to go with a lot of different things, just because their stamps are so simple in their design, and that's one thing that I love about it. But they also pair very well with other stamp sets within the company. MFT, my favorite thing stamps, also has the ability to kind of go with other stamp sets. So just kind of keep those two things, those two big things in mind when you are looking to pair different companies of mixing the brands of the stamps. And I know sometimes we kind of get stuck in, we want to keep everything from the same company on the same card and that kind of thing, but you don't have to. This is a great example of mixing the two different companies to create amazing cards. So now let's talk about what I'm actually doing in the card here. So we've talked about how we're going to mix those things up. And what I did was I went ahead and I die cut all of the pieces for the mushroom first. And I am going to Copic color those. I cut everything up out of white. Die cut everything out of white Nina Solar White cardstock. And I'm actually going to Copic color everything. I stamped using my mini MISTI all of the little images that I'm going to use on the card from the Fairy Friends stamp set. And notice as I'm coloring the hair here, I'm leaving a little bit of white. And that's the highlight in my hair. I actually didn't cover that up. It's just a highlight all the way across for their hair there. Now, I'm not going to talk all the way through this. I'm going to let you enjoy just some Copic coloring. This video is super, super sped up because it took me probably about an hour and a half to get everything colored and cut and then put together. So, and it didn't help that I had a migraine when I was doing this. So I'm a migraine sufferer, and if there's any other fellow migraine sufferers out there, I'm with you, babe. I'm with you, babe. Okay. So what I did was I went ahead and colored everything, and then I used my Silhouette PixScan mat, and I die cut all the images out because I don't have the coordinating dies to go with this set. So a lot of times now, if I have that, if I don't have the set of dies to go with the stamp set, I will just put it on my PixScan mat and cut them out. If you want to know about the width that I use most of the time to cut around stamps, I actually went a little larger on this than I normally do. I usually do 0.055, and I did 0.085 on this for the outline to cut these out. And the PixScan mat, I've answered a lot of questions and a couple of other message boards and stuff on Facebook about using a Silhouette PixScan mat versus a Brother scan and cut. I haven't ever used a Brother scan and cut, so I'm not sure how that functions. I really, really, really like my PixScan mat. All you have to do is put, color your images, do what you need to with it, pop it over on the mat, and take a picture of it, upload it to your computer, import it into the software, and then cut it out how you want to. I know that sounds like a lot of work. However, once you get used to doing it, it doesn't take very long at all. I don't have to, take apart a phone or anything like that to do it. I take the picture with my phone. I upload it via cloud. It goes to my Google Drive, which is connected to my computer. It takes a moment to do that, and then import it into the software and open it and select the trace areas and do the offset and all that kind of stuff. And it takes me just a few moments to do that. It would take me just as long to place the dies, tape them down, run it through, and pop everything out. I think it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, but your time is spent doing the same thing, just in different ways. So I think it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, like I said. And the one thing that I have found about doing the silhouettes is that I can use other products by other companies. Like I have a different brand mat and a different brand blade in my machine right now that I didn't have to get from Silhouette, so it's not that brand, so it's a little less expensive. And I have noticed that the Brother products are a little bit more expensive than the Silhouette brand products, to like replacement mats and blades and stuff. And I don't know how robust the software is that goes with the Silhouette scan and cut, and I just don't know. I don't know how robust it is. Silhouette Studio is very robust because I can actually design stuff in Silhouette Studio. So those are just some different things that I was thinking about as I was making this card that I wanted to talk about with you. If you'll go back and focus on the card here, I actually had to refill this marker, and wanted to talk real quick as well while I was doing this. I know I'm jumping around a whole lot, but there was a lot of things that I was thinking about as a crafter that I noticed as I was making this card. If you're a Copic colorer and you start hearing that squeak, you need to refill your marker. Just very simply, just stop and refill your marker. And right now, I know that Copic is redoing the packaging, the actual bottle that the refills are coming in. So getting refills for Copics is not the easiest thing in the world to do right now. So if you find them, get them. I think that Michael's is also, Michael's Craft Store seems to be getting rid of a lot of their Copic markers. Beware that those markers have been opened a million times and have been used a million times in the store, more than likely. So just be careful with those. I mean, if you get it for 97 cents and have to refill the marker, that's still a bargain, period. But just beware of that in my thought processes of the day. I Copic colored the background of this as well. The background, I didn't worry about whether or not it was streaky. I didn't worry about whether or not it was smooth. I didn't worry about a whole lot of things when I was making the background on this card because it's in the background. I did do a little bit a darker color and faded it down a little bit towards the middle. I didn't worry about whether or not my grass was combined very well with my sky because the focus of this card is the front of the card, is the mushroom and the little fairies on the front of the card. So when you're doing something like this and building this big scene, make sure that the thing that you want to focus on is the thing that you focus on, and not worry about every single little detail within the card. I don't know if y'all have this problem. I have this huge problem as I am coloring or I'm making a card. The area that I'm working in continues to get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller because I've got all of my stuff sitting out on my desk. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm going to play a little bit of music until the very end of the card, and we're getting ready to put everything together. laminated everything with some foam tape or glued it straight down to the card itself. Don't forget to head over to the blog and check out some more tips. I also did the sentiment by stamping on black cardstock and white heat embossing the sentiment, and then I die cut it out with my PixScan mat. So thanks so much for joining me today. Head over to the blog and check out the previous 17 days of the 30 days of cards. You'll have some Father's Day cards in there as well for your last minute Father's Day needs. And thanks so much for joining me today. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss a single video. And next month we will be doing some Christmas in July cards. And then I also have a very special surprise for us.